case y'all ain't know, my town. We gon' put it in they face. Let them know, cause we don't play around. 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 Haters hate but lose when we in the race. Ay, we up in the place and we gon' put it in they face. Let them know, Houston Dynamo, Houston Dynamo, Houston Dynamo, Houston Dynamo. Boys acting like they ready for that orange crush. Try us if you want, we'll leave you in the dust. The men in orange, baby, got orange on my back. Be the ones, now it's time for us to bring it back.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Noodle Time, episode 149. I am your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co-host, Andres. What's going on, Andres?
So pretty good. All-Star week is over. We're about to start the Leagues Cup. A lot of debate between the team, but man, just excited to be here once again to talk with you, man.
Nice. All-Star game, man. I didn't... man, it's crazy because, usually, for the sports that you're really enamored with, the All-Star weekends, that break, like that halftime between, your final push to make the playoffs and all that good stuff. But like, honestly, I don't see the reason for an MLS All-Star game. But I mean, that's just my opinion. But but there was no Dynamo involved, but a lot of Dynamo 2 representation in the All-Star in Austin. So I know Andres will let us know what's going on with that.
Yeah, and like you said, there were no Dynamo players featured in the MLS All-Star game, but there were 2 players that were featured in the festivities. More so in the Dynamo Dos category, and one of them being Barrett, the 16-year-old defender that plays for Dos, that has been featured for Dos for a good chunk of the year. And I haven't been saying this a lot in Noodle Time, but I did say this a couple times whenever OSG and I were talking about Dynamo Dos. This kid, he doesn't make any sense because he is a 16-year-old. Like he's fairly sized for a defender, but whenever you see him on the field, and if you ever get a chance to see him play tomorrow against Austin FC2, whenever it's live stream, I think it's either on MLS Season Pass or YouTube.
Yeah,
I want you to see him because this kid is absolutely plays like an adult, and one of the advantages that those has is the fact that they're one of the youngest, if not the youngest, team in the league by birthday average. So, like Daniel Barrett, he's one of those talents that you have to look forward to because he did feature in the MLS Next All-Star game in between Team East and Team West of that specific league. Team East won, I believe it was 5-4, if I'm not mistaken, but Daniel Barrett did play 45 minutes. And
nice.
They were the captain's armband for Team West. So
nice.
I'll see. Not much to look into that result because we're looking at talents from across the league and that in a meaningless game. But
yeah,
it's
an All-Star game.
It's an All-Star game, but still a lot of eyes watching this game. Yeah. A lot of scouts. A lot of it's essentially a spotlight for this type of players because
for sure.
MLS Next and MLS Next Pro, it's all about giving the players a spotlight and giving them time to play, which is
for sure,
which is what I've been doing for sure. And that was the first one, and the second one, Pedro Cruz featured in the 2025 Goalie Wars, and as part of the MLS All-Star Game Skills Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he won the challenge and the belt after defeating in a 5-1. Like first it was I think it was it was against Carlos Mercado, Orlando City B, a 5-1, and the semifinal against Adisa de Rosario from Toronto FC2. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's no qualification for this, but rather the best goalkeepers in MLS Next Pro got invited to be featured in this skills challenge, and he won. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's essentially you're playing soccer in between goalkeepers.
Yeah.
But the field is like so small that they can actually shoot the ball straight to you, and you have to like block the ball, catch it, and then just like shoot it however you want. So
nice.
think about it like futsal, but the courts is like way smaller, and he actually won it, and it's just amazing how everything keeps going well for Pedro Cruz this year, because he's been having outside of the performances from this team, especially at the halfway point of the MLS Next Pro season, Pedro Cruz has been one of the highlights of the year so far, and
That's
he
good.
has definitely won games for those. He has definitely come up big for those in those big moments, like literally shot stopping performances. And the last time he came into Austin, where I was there, he was just like absolutely massive, making 2 saves to win the game. Well, to win the penalty shootout for those. And I hope to see him again tomorrow here. So, like Pedro Cruz, Daniel Barrett, 2 of the players to watch this year, and man, and hopefully at one point in the future in the first team.
Yeah, I mean it's always nice to know a couple of the players coming up in the system, up the pipeline, I guess, like they would say across the line, across the pond. Always good to know those names for the future. And you never know. Like I said, I know that we've had a lot of goalkeepers in Dynamo Dos that have made it to the first team. Players like Xavier Valdez, who was with us last year. Obviously. Blake Gillingham. I'm not sure if he was part of 2 when he first started, but obviously he had an impact early in the season, and then just a different amount of different goalies. I think goalie is one of those positions that the Dynamo really do thrive on, and as far as developing. So we'll see what happens, man. I mean the future looks bright for that kid, and then you said what was the right back's kid's name? Barrett.
Daniel Barrett, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you said he's a little undersized, but sometimes, a little bit being a little undersized, doesn't matter. I mean, you see defenders like Lisandro Martinez, for Argentina, who's a small player, but he's one of the great defenders who currently with United, and you can. It's all about the heart and the dog, not about the it's all about the fight and the dog, not not the size of the dog. So if he can defend well and he knows how to play the angles and has the capabilities to take the ball away and play good defense, then then he'll have a successful career. Hopefully he gets to do that in Orange for us pretty soon. But we'll see what happens. But Andres, with that being said, the All-Star game, unless there's something else you want to add from it, but obviously with the Dynamo being fairly non-existent there, aside from Diesel making an appearance as well. But I mean, this is basically the final push towards the playoffs. After the All-Star game and all that stuff that's going on, obviously we have one more game before we take a month off here to get into Leagues Cup play as well. So, and unfortunately we haven't been really. We're still on this roller coaster ride of just up and down waves, man. Obviously we had the 2 home games before the All-Star game against Philadelphia and Vancouver. We lost 3-0 against Vancouver, a very tough Vancouver team, might I say. Obviously one of the MLS Cup contenders for this season. Losing 3-0 at home is never leaves a good taste in your mouth, right? And then obviously Philadelphia, obviously they're under new guidance, but still Philadelphia has a lot of the same players who have for the last maybe 4 or 5 years made nice runs in the playoffs, nice runs in tournaments, have played in finals, and lifted a trophy here and there. Those guys came in and they were able to salvage a point at home from us as well. 1-1 tie with those guys. Penalty by Jack McGlynn was the equalizer to against Philadelphia, against his former team, ironically enough. But that being said, Andres, I mean, man, is there anything you really want to get in tune with from those 2 games before I get into my little rant here? Because those 2 games, to be honest, it's just it's sad, man. I mean, like the point, I mean, look, you and me, I'm a little bit older than you, Andres, but I mean, since the Dynamo have come to Houston, the Dynamo have never been this bad at home. Even under the
Never.
Even under the Tab Ramos, Nagamura era, the Owen Coyle era, whatever era you want to think the Dynamo were down bad at. One thing was for sure that they were able to salvage the home points. They were shit on the road. Don't get me wrong. I remember seasons without no wins on the road, but they always managed to show up for the home crowd and for the home side and defend the stadium. But this year, man, I mean, it's just, I'm to the point where, like, man, dude, like, can we skip these home games? Can we
pretty much.
I'm pretty. I mean, like, it's a frustrating aspect because, like, you're never in whatever league. It doesn't matter what league you play in the world. If you don't defend your home turf and collect your majority of your points from home, you're not going anywhere. Realistically, I mean, I can't think of top of my head of any championship caliber or upper echelon team that's had a successful season and had a shit home record, you know, and that's the sad thing. And that's the sad thing about this situation. You know, we're for the struggles and frustrations that we've had with this team. We've been fairly decent on the road as far as grabbing road points, especially grabbing road points against teams that, you know, we shouldn't be grabbing points against. You know, obviously, you know, teams like San Diego come up to mind. Teams like New York City FC come up to mind. You know, Columbus grabbing a tie, San Jose. You know, players. You know, these kind of clubs, right? But then we come home and we just give it all away. I mean, how do you feel as a supporter? You know, knowing that, man, you know, what used to be a sure thing. I think the Dynamo still hold the record for the longest home non-losing streak in MLS history, if I'm not mistaken. You know, that's you know, and that's a badge of honor. You know, how do you feel?
I'm gonna give you the opportunity to rant because OSG and I were able to do that in the last episode, but
yeah,
you probably remember, or you probably seen it but after we lost the game against Vancouver, but Houston never lost 7 games at home in one season until last week. So it's and you were, like you said, a lot of fans have been accustomed to getting as many points as possible at home to contest for a playoff spot. And historically speaking, we've been at home just able to pull performances over and over and over again to at least give us a stride to make a playoff spot. Of course, you could say in the last 6 to 7 years, obviously with the management that we had, it was a little bit funky. But at home, we were last year we were almost unstoppable at home. 2 years ago, the same, and it's like now on the show is like nothing. Like, no. And teams are just like able to pull the performances and be on their way. Of course, early in the year, we've been like extremely unlucky in most instances, but losing 7 games at home is not acceptable, and that's something that we've already talked about, and it's something that Ben Olsen and the team has to take seriously now because they have to make adjustments. They're already digging themselves a hole, and granted, like a lot of the results that they pulled off on the road are kind of just like keeping them somewhat afloat. Yeah. But they have to win at home. They have to get as many points as possible on the road to just like even fight for a playoff spot. And we're not talking about a playing spot. We just got actual playoff spot because nobody wants to play in, and the team just have to figure themselves out to play well. And the game against Philadelphia, when we get to talk about it, I did see some highlights.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing about it, you know, Andres, you know, look, we've been a part of, you know, where we were the sorriest team in the conference, sorriest team in the league, wooden spoons, whatever you want to call it. We've gone through those seasons, right? We've gone through seasons where there was just no hope. The talent on the team was ridiculous. We were playing with USL players, basically, things of that nature, right? But like I mentioned prior, the one thing that we could keep our head held up high about was the fact that regardless of who wore that orange jersey and represented the Dynamo at that time period, they when it got time to play at home, they were prideful and they represented, you know. And you know the sad thing about it, and like like you mentioned, I wasn't on the show last week, so I unfortunately I didn't get much time to partake as far as listening to you guys, and I'm pretty sure y'all had a great show. Shout out to OSG wherever you at, my guy. Thank you for filling in for me. But I mentioned to a couple people before going to this homestead, dude. Like, honestly, man, I'd be surprised if the Dynamo come out with a point this homestand. And okay, so we got the point against Philadelphia, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, LA Galaxy's next, blah blah blah." But this ain't This ain't the bottom of the table. LA Galaxy. If you look at LA Galaxy's last 5 matches, these guys are on the come up. These guys are playing better. They're getting results. They're getting wins finally. And plus, look, they have a talented squad. Yeah, are they missing key players? Yes, but they have goal scorers in Gabriel Peck. They have Marco Royce. They have Pinstill. They have players of that caliber who know how to score. And unfortunately for us, the Dynamo's defense, they have moments of fuck ups where they allow the opposition to take control of the game and take opportunity and score the ball. Like, I understand that the team, is possessive base, 60% possession and all that great stuff, and and we're keeping the ball away from the other team, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, if the team gets the opportunity and they took full advantage of the opportunity and they score, that's all that matters. We can have 20 shots, 5 shots on goal. If none of those shots go in, what does it matter, And then on the other side, the other team will have 4 shots, 2 shots on goal, and fortunately for them, they made the 2 goals, the 2 shots on goal. I feel like that's been the whole season for us. We don't take we don't take advantage of our opportunities, and we're not putting the ball in the back of the net. Obviously we've had matches where we scored and stuff like that. And shout out to Weezy. I see you on the chat, my guy. Appreciate you hanging out on the chat and all that good stuff. And he thinks we're gonna crash out in the Leagues Cup. We'll see what happens. Tournament versus soccer, team versus soccer versus season soccer is a little bit different, but we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But yeah, man, it's very disappointing. And then on top of that, people talk about, like, we have an influx of defenders in the back. What combination is going to be the best combination? Obviously we're all excited about what Adelante has brought to us, with him scoring and him, being like this little firecracker on the pitch, and being able to defend and score and all this good stuff. And then obviously Escobar, and him playing how he is, and obviously, like, I hype him up a lot. Like I said, I like the fact that I go to the toe with anybody. I think Escobar is the second best left back in Dynamo history. I know a lot of people will counter that with Beasley or whatever, but to be honest, I think that he has exceeded that. And then obviously, we have Pablo Ortiz, who, obviously he's come in. He's done okay. He's done an okay job. I wouldn't say he's been, anything of a game changer as far as defensively goes, but he's been available. That's one of the things, unlike, obviously our captain, Shevchenko, unfortunately for him, this season we're in a season where we're in dire need of a vocal captain, and I feel like he was supposed to be that guy, to be that vocal captain, to take over Achache. He hasn't been available. Bartlow has done an okay job. Obviously, he was MLS Team of the Week not too long ago. Obviously Obafemi, coming in as a true rookie, trying to learn on the go. He's done a job for us. Griffin Dorsey, obviously, we know what kind of game he plays and what he can do for us. But I mean, but we're still giving up all these goals, man. We're still giving up all these counterattacks, and the communication isn't there like how it was the last couple of years in the Ben Olsen era. Where that back line was tight. They knew where everybody was at, and if somebody missed their assignment, somebody was right there to help them back them up. And right now, I don't see that. But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, man. But obviously, like I said, we have one more MLS game before we go into Leagues Cup, and is there anything that you're looking? I mean, is there anything that you're looking forward to as far as this game tomorrow on a Friday, guys? Friday night soccer for the for the first time in a long time at the Shell. But is there anything that you're looking for as far as like maybe different from Ben Olsen and the coaching staff? I mean, maybe there's rumors that Ponce might not be available due to an injury, so that might give Nephew or an opportunity. An opportunity first since this brace against his former team in New York. Any thoughts or anything that you think, if you were in Ben's shoes, what would you do differently for tomorrow?
If I can add some of the facts from the game against Philadelphia, basically things that I've seen. The good news is that you can at least see Ben Olsen trying new things. Believe it or not, I mean, Basi did not play a single minute in this game, and he has been extremely questionable this year based on previous performances in previous seasons, and he definitely deserved to get benched because the production or really anything that it was remotely some sort of goal contribution coming out of him was non-existent. And I felt like Dynamo played much better up front. They did generate a lot of performances this year, and it's really more so of a highlight the fact that Houston was able to hold up against Philadelphia, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And I was disappointed that it was still a point, but coming out of two big losses against Vancouver and just being absolutely like phased out or just like wiped out of the map with this game, it was you could say progress, but it's still a point, not a win, unfortunately. And if I could say something to consider for the next game, is the fact that Pablo Ortiz needs to be benched immediately. He cannot play a single game of soccer for the next few games until I see him improve off the bench, because a lot of the goals that have been coming against Houston, it was like Pablo Ortiz was just in the middle of everything. I see him in the first goal for Philadelphia in the last game, and he literally lets the ball through like this. He looks at the ball, he lets him go through like this. Like he's like ball watching the ball get inside the box, and the Philadelphia players just like able to beat Dorsey because he was like unable to block him. But Pablo Ortiz could have been able to clear it, and I see this goal. I see other instances where he was just like unable, or just seems like he's not focused in the game. I was so furious at that, and I gave him a lot of opportunities to prove me wrong. But unfortunately, in this game and in a lot of opportunities, he has improved the starting spot for me, or like he earning that spot. And that's just one of the things that Ben Olsen has to fix. I know it's been very difficult because like Shevchenko has been gone for almost the entire year so far, but we still have Femi Awodesu on the bench. Like he's been obviously he had his tough moments this year, but I feel like Pablo Ortiz has been worse. Franco Escobar, obviously he's been playing fullback now, but I mean put him back there. Come on, he has a ton of experience. Everyone loves him, and Felipe Andrade is there, so he can always cover, even if he's for Dorsey or not. So.
It looks like Weezy agrees with you. He says, if anything, put Femi back in, to give the guy a try. I mean, it's one of those things where, him as a rookie, obviously he understands that, him been sit down might be because obviously you're investing in bringing another player from another league into the fold, and you obviously got to give that guy an opportunity to see if he can make a impact. But I mean, like you said, Pablo Cheese has maybe 10, 11 games already under his in his MLS career, and you're not fully satisfied with what he's brought. I mean, obviously there's been glimpses, but I tend to agree too. I don't think Pablo Ortiz has been quite the answer that we thought he would be, and maybe it's time to give the rookie back an opportunity, or like you said, hey, maybe everybody's been clamoring for a Dorsey, Escobar, Andrade back line with Bartlow, and who knows, maybe something like that could be plugged in. But yeah, it's tough, man, because the one thing that I felt, coming in, and obviously the one thing about like the last couple of years, especially because it's been very successful years, the last couple of years has been the strength of the defense. You had veterans who knew where to be at, who have been leaders in other places, who have won titles in other places, and they understood what it was to be a formidable back line and to have each other's back, and understand where everybody's at all times. And that's why we were one of the best defenses the last 2 years running. And we're just not seeing that. Obviously, I understand that Eric being gone is a big factor. Obviously, Mikael being sold at the beginning of the season is not what you want. But I mean, but you have to find solutions, man. You have to figure this out. I mean, it's one of those things in MLS. Like, MLS isn't known as a defensive league; it's a more offensive league. It's very lopsided on the offensive side. But that you can dominate if you have a formidable defense, and that's why, to be honest, the Dynamo were, to be honest, dark horse MLS Cup contenders the last couple of years because they had a formidable defense. I mean, their offense wasn't all that, to be honest, but their defense was really what catapulted them to be a dark horse MLS Cup contender, But we're not seeing that right now, and that's the unfortunate thing, and that's why these clubs are capitalizing on the counterattacks and being able to get through to. I mean, it's literally in the Vancouver game. Like these guys are able to pass the ball within each other inside the 18. Like that's crazy to me. Like it's okay to allow a pass. But once you start allowing 2, 3, 4, 5 passes inside the 18 within amongst your opponents, it's like, dude, come on, like these guys are gonna score, and it's a terrible sighting, man. So, I mean, I think that's where we first gotta make sure we stabilize, obviously, the defense. Andres, I'll ask you this: I mean, to be honest, I don't even want to get on the Ben Olsen in or Ben Olsen out for the season, as a coach. I think knowing the Dynamo the way we do, unless just something catastrophic, something really, really terrible happens, I mean, I think he's going to be allowed to finish the season off as the coach. But I mean, man, just what do you think? What do you think that he can do differently? I mean, like, honestly, I don't see anything different. I don't see anything different aside from him, taking out a player here. Like, I didn't understand him not allowing Inali to play against Philadelphia as a starter. But
really comes down to the fact that Ben Olsen is playing for his job right now, and you could say even his career, because after Houston, MLS looks at him and they see his performances back in DC and now in Houston, and how he's just unable to adapt sometimes, and it's gonna have a hard time to find another ground to work on, except if it's like somewhere else in another league or another country or something like that. And I guess a silver lining, you could say that he's been like changing things around, and we saw that against Philadelphia. of course, just having Jack McLean back, it's definitely a positive. But still, you have to. The team just doesn't revolve around Jack McGlynn, but also the pieces that we have on the bench. We haven't seen Toyosi playing a lot. We haven't seen Gabe play a lot or at all. And us as fans, we're kind of just concerned about like the pieces that we have. Yeah. Offensively, of course, Sonali being back definitely helps a lot. And not having Nelson Quinones back still is definitely going to damage us. But we do have players. The coach is responsible for having or taking advantage of the pieces that we have, and we kind of discussed it in the last episode. We do have coaches available to play as interim for Ben Olsen if things go south. Alejandro Guerra, obviously, Juan Guerra being available as one of the assistants, as well as Kenny Bundy, that can easily take care of this team in the meantime if things go wrong. But it's really on Ben Olsen right now, and if he misses the playoffs, of course that's a different story because we may just ride the season. If that happens to be in the last decision day or something like that, but
yeah,
man, he's playing for his career right now.
For sure. Weezy says, I want to see Nali, Tuyasi, Linger, Jack, Reigns, Arthur, Andrade, Bartlow, Femi, Dorsey tomorrow. That's, I guess, that's the starting lineup. It's very frustrating, man, because you like Tuyasi, like when they brought this guy in, like I said, I don't know this guy from anything, from anything, right? And they say, why, and people are questioning, why are you going to pay a $250,000 transfer fee for a player who's going to be available for free in 6 months? So we're thinking, okay, maybe they see something in this guy that before other clubs want to grab him or whatever, they're willing to pay a little small fee to bring him over and make an impact. I haven't seen anything that I feel like they're not even looking his way. It's like it's crazy. Linger, obviously when he first came in, obviously we know the game time goal, the first two games scoring goals. It was an amazing start to his Dynamo career, and then he just faded off to the point where he was replaced by Bassi in the starting lineup, which is crazy to me. But like I said, he's on the bench. I mean, this is supposedly our second DP, but where's the trust? Where's the wanting? Where's the hey, Linger, like we brought you in here to be one of our best players. Like, man, like we need you to show up. And Nali, obviously, you know how I feel about Nali. I think the whole city of Houston and the whole Dynamo fan base loves Nali, and they see the way this kid goes out there and hustles and does things, in a way where we're like, man, if we could find 10 more Nalis to put on the field, this Dynamo team would be a MLS Cup contender for sure, But I mean, it's crazy, and then like, for example, you mentioned Jack McGlynn coming back to us. Yeah, it's great to have Jack McGlynn back, but the Jack McGlynn that we see on the USA men's national team is different from the one we see on the Dynamo, and it's a drop off, and is it because of coaching? Is it because of the playing style that we have here different from the USA's men's national team? I mean, we're not utilizing the players, our best players, the best way possible for them to show off their skill set and for them to show off the talent that they have to put us in positions to win, is basically what that's telling me, and that's the unfortunate thing where I'm like, man, like, I understand that you're in love with a system and you have your system, and obviously that system has worked out for you the last 2 years. Obviously U.S. Open Cup championship, Western Conference appearance, whatever, all this stuff. But you also got to understand, you had veteran level players on that pitch who were basically like coaches on the field. Ache. I mean, look, man, dude, for whatever people want to say, the negativity about Ache's time here in the Dynamo, I have nothing negative to say about the guy. especially now with how much the team is truly lacking without him. It's mind blowing to me that people still think that that it was a waste. Like, dude, no, Ache was when Ache came here. It started. I started to believe that this club had ambition. You know, that signing to me was the first step in showing me that this club had an ambition to be something more than just another club in MLS. Um, and obviously, regardless of what was going on with him personally, is off the pitch. That's something else. But on the pitch, he was a leader. You know, when people weren't in the right position, he would tell them. He's like a coach on the field. Hey, I need you over here. I need you over here. I need you over here. Get over here. Get over here. I need you down there. I need you to make this run. You see the communication. He was always talking. Coco, obviously, Coco was an up and coming player. You got to take advantage of the fact that when you get talented players like that, you're going to have teams around the world that are going to want them. And that's great. Obviously, you wanted to take the most opportunity to take advantage of the skill set that he has and progress as much as you have and make money off of him in the transfer. That's what we did. Cool, whatever. That's nice. The Mikael thing, the same thing. Obviously we bought him in cheap, built them up from Dynamo Dos and brought them into the first team, and we sold them for a nice profit. Cool, all that. But we have to have the mindset of the next players coming in. The next players coming in. We can't be caught off guard like that, I hate to go back to the fact, that the beginning of the season was such a horrible start for us, where we lost so many points and we lost so many games that we shouldn't have. That the last 2 years we wouldn't be losing, but that's what it was. The front office was just not prepared, and now this transfer window is opening up, and people are wondering, oh, who can we go sign? Who can we sign? Who can save this team? Blah blah blah. Like, how tough it is for a new player to come in and try to save a team. Especially when there's only 10 games left, 10, 11, 12 games left in the season, in the regular season. And then and on top of that, you have a tournament that's gonna occupy the club for a month. It's like it's so hard to build up a rhythm. Unless you're gonna bring in someone world class that doesn't take that much time to acclimate, because he's just so talented. But I don't see anybody. I haven't seen anybody being linked to the Dynamo like that. Have you, Andres? I know we'll talk about Tomáš, but
there's only been a couple rumors here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really debatable if if those are going to be those signings or not. But I've just been accustomed to the fact that Pat Onstad is going to keep all his cards to himself, and it's going to be tough to even get a glimpse of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But on the same token, it's kind of like fans are just disappointed, disillusioned, and
we are
really just hungry for news, because we need reinforcements bad. We need defenders. We need defenders. We need playmakers. We need a game changer. Obviously, with the deal with a designated player, or what's going to happen next year. But it's just kind of disappointing, the lack of news, or just the lack of rumors thereof.
Yeah.
As fans, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and it's always the typical the same suspects. LAFC being linked to Heung-min Son, which would be a fantastic signing. Rodrigo de Paul going to Miami here pretty soon, which cool. All right, cool. It's just Giovanni Reina, possibly. It looks like he might be going to Italy, but he was linked to LAFC as well. It's like, dude, come on. We this is the thing, man. This is one of the reasons why I feel that MLS, even though they're trying to invest in it, and with the World Cup coming up, and with all these great players coming into the league, we're gonna be too top heavy. I don't think MLS will ever get to the point where they can be a significant league in the world where they can, really battle, the Europeans or the South American leagues, whatever this and that, because, without any initiative or without any consequences, there's no reason for these clubs to really do anything besides put money in their pockets. Like promotion and relegation. I mean, that right there. I mean, to be honest, like, dude, if imagine if I'm Ted Siegel, and for whatever amount I bought into the club, or I bought the club from Gabriel Printer. I can't remember the figure, whatever it was, but I'm buying a first division club, and to have in the back of my mind that my club is on the verge of being regulated to a second division, and and first division in America already has a tough time creating any kind of revenue or money, because obviously we're not the Premier League, we're not the La Liga, nothing like that. But I mean, imagine going to a second division. Like, that's hell. Like, dude, if I was an owner, I would be doing anything possible to try to make sure that this team stays successful and stays away anywhere from any type of relegation talk or whatever than that, because we understand what relegation can do to a club, because we've seen it with our European counterparts, or and how certain clubs who are legendary clubs can be really torn down because they once they have one bad season and they're relegated, and they can just never come back to the first division because they can't make it, right. We've seen clubs of prestige be downgraded to fourth tier, fifth tier, non-existent, and there's too much of a safety net here in MLS. There's too much of a safety net. MLS, unfortunately, instead of following the typical soccer formula around the world, is following the sports formula of the American sports environment, where obviously there's one league, however many owners, everybody gets revenue sharing and all that stuff, blah blah blah, and all that stuff, and there's no consequences. And the unfortunate thing about MLS is that the MLS draft is nowhere near like the NBA draft or NFL draft, where you can draft a game changing player that can change your whole identity the next season, depending on how special that player may be, right? Because those type of players are not looking to play in MLS. Those type of players are going abroad. And it's just terrible, man. I don't know. It's sad because, like I said, when the Ache signing happened, I was like, yo, they're really showing me something. I'm seeing some ambition. What's happened since then? Ponce, great. Inali, okay, cool. But who's the face of the franchise, Andres?
Yeah, we gotta see something in this transfer window, because it's not speaking to confidence, and we are just putting a lot of results, like giving points to like all these teams, and really playing like we are not playing at home in front of our fans, especially this year. So it's we gotta see something, and if they have a surprise for us, great. But as things stand, or how things look right now, especially for diehard fans like us, it's kind of like, we want this team to succeed, but we have no reason to believe that right now.
No, I mean, it's just like I said, who's the face of the franchise? Who's that leader? Like who like even from a marketing standpoint, who is marketable? No, I mean, there's nobody.
Dorsey, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, but like it's just frustrating.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, look, man, we have a match against LA Galaxy tomorrow. And the thing about it, Andres, like I said, I mentioned earlier in the show that I truly believe that the Dynamo were going to come out of this homestand with just 1 point. Now, they got that 1 point against Philadelphia. And obviously, we're hoping that, they can grab some more points against LA Galaxy. The fact that LA Galaxy is still the bottom team and MLS. But like I said, this ain't the same LA Galaxy, man. this LA Galaxy team beat Vancouver 3-0 not too long ago. They beat DC United 2-1. They tied against LAFC and El Tráfico. So, I mean, this club is starting to kind of turn it around. It might be a little bit too late for them to make a playoff push. But they're showing pride as far as like, hey, we're still here. We're still playing. So, we're not, doesn't matter if we're at bottom right now. So, your thoughts for tomorrow's game? What do you think the team can do, and what in your predictions?
Yeah, anything less than a win here is going to be a failure. And
Sure.
it's something that Ben Olsen is going to be held accountable for, because we're looking at the worst team in the Western Conference in terms of standings. And really, like overall this year, it took them 3 months to get their first win. And it's obviously they're defending champions. You can just say that they just started to compete, which took them a while this year. But we are still facing a team that has struggled to keep their form, and teams have been able to take advantage of that. Like, it's just going to be a matter of how Houston's just able to commit and just put the game away extremely early and not fall for their mistakes that have been plaguing them this year. Obviously, we've known how much teams love to counter against Houston. We love how much they love to press Houston to the point that they want to see them screw up to just capitalize on a counterattack. And it's just really unacceptable the way Houston has been playing in most of these games. And the game against LA Galaxy, they have to show up. They have to bring out new ideas. They need to have energy to put the game away early, because LA Galaxy, they're kind of just playing for, I want to say play for pride, because there's still plenty of season left. But they're coming into Houston with essentially almost nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna do their own thing. They're gonna look for that result to take back home. And we are somewhat desperate right now to get 3 points at home. So it's the pressure is on us to get a win. The pressure is on Ben Olsen to get a result to at least keep them finding opportunities for a playoff spot before the League Cup starts. And yeah, it's gonna be a big game that could tell how the season is gonna turn out.
What do you think your results are going to be? Your game results going to be?
I think Houston wins 3-1.
3-1. Okay.
I'm gonna speak for OSG since it's not here, but in the last episode he kind of said LA Galaxy can beat Houston. So I'm gonna just based on what I know about him and his heart that he loves Houston so much, I'm gonna say that his prediction is Houston wins 3-2.
3-2.
But yeah, it's like I said, it's really it's gonna depend on the team to come out here and get that win and just show out and demolish LA Galaxy. But we have to see that they have not been able to put weaker teams away. We've already seen it against Montreal. I'm still salty about that, by the way. So we have to win this game. There's no easy way to put it.
Yeah. I'm not even going to ask you who scores the goals, man. I just want them to score. I just want them to score.
And Larson Alley hat trick, whatever.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing because, like I said, I mean, I just ran off a couple of the recent results. Jojo says Dynamo lose 2-1, which, hey, it could very well happen. Obviously, like I said, they just beat Vancouver 3-0 after Vancouver has whooped us 3-0. They beat DC United 2-1. They tied against LAFC and El Tráfico 3-3. So, and this team, the Dynamo as a team in total have only scored 30 goals. LA Galaxy have scored 28. So, they're not that far off as far as being a goal scoring team, scoring as many goals as we have, and they've been on a real scoring spree here as of late, these last couple of games, like I've mentioned prior, and like I said, they're playing for pride, because at the end of the day, when you have seasons like this, especially like LA coming off of a championship, and you just have you just fall flat on your face because of injuries to players and things like that. You're trying to as a coaching staff and as an organization, you're trying to see which players are playing for pride and are playing for the name in front of their, for that crest in front of their chest, right? And that's who you're gonna keep and continue building your squad with for the next season. But I mean, it's a pride thing now, man. We're like, before we go into this League Cup tournament, are we gonna make a real run towards this, or are we just beating around the bush? Are we playing ourselves? Thinking that the Dynamo can actually, do something, because you look at the standings and this is one thing that I hate about these standings, man. It's like these teams keep falling back to us, and we're not taking advantage of the fact that these teams are not doing anything, and we could be gaining points and moving ahead of them. Like, realistically speaking, like, dude, look, we beat. Just look at this match. If somehow we pull off the win against Galaxy, there's a real possibility we can end up in 8th place by the time League Cup play begins. So I mean, and we're right in the thick of it again. So it's just like the roller coaster never ends. What do I think? Man. Do I stay true to the fact that I said the Dynamo were only going to get 1 point in these 3 games? Man, you know what? I think I'm gonna hold that. I think Galaxy are gonna win 1-0. I think I'm gonna have to hold that. So we'll see what happens, man. But obviously, one thing about this season, obviously playing a season, it's tough, because there's only one champion at the end, right? The MLS Cup champion, the Supporter Shield champion, whatever. It's trophies that are available. But when you're able to compete in other tournaments like the League Cup, the U.S. Open Cup, like we were able to compete in, it gives the club an opportunity to kind of step back a little from the objective of the whole season and trying to compact everything into a month's worth of work. And obviously with the League Cup coming up, it gives you a whole brand new life, like a breath of fresh air, to where, hey, I know we might be sucking right now in the season, but this League Cup tournament has nothing to do with that. We're playing brand new opponents from a different league, and we can really turn around our bad season and make it into a decent or even a great season if we end up lifting that title or making a deep run in this tournament, or even qualifying for the Champions League Cup, whatever it's called now, the Champions Cup.
Champions Cup, yeah,
the Champions Cup, if we're able to get one of the qualifying spots. So even though a lot of bad has been happening around the club, there's still a lot of opportunity for a lot of good to happen for this season, And with the League Cup coming up this Tuesday, our first opponent is Tigres of Monterrey. And obviously, we know how powerful Tigres of Monterrey is, one of the best clubs in Liga MX, one of the best clubs of the last decade and a half in Liga MX, numerous amount of titles. They've lifted CONCACAF Champions Cup titles, have made runs at the Club World Cup, multiple time Liga MX winners. So, Andres, obviously, we just talked about the LAFC team. LA Galaxy team, which is one of the bottom feeders in MLS. How do you feel about the Dynamo going up against one of the Liga MX giants next Tuesday at home?
Not hopeful.
Obviously, I don't think the home crowd will be. I think the home crowd will be a more. It's gonna feel like a road match, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if Tigres fans in Houston, they don't get a lot of chances to watch Tigres from here.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna show out in Houston, as we are kind of accustomed to, and it could turn out ugly for Houston. It's definitely a good opportunity to test out and impress other Mexican teams, but this year I'm not confident. But who knows? Like, it could be different. But that's just me being optimistic. But
yeah,
it might be this game that, depending on how it goes, it can tell out how if we're gonna even qualify for the knockout stage, which is definitely gonna be dependent on what's gonna happen, because since they're gonna be draws in Leagues Cup, I think they're going
Yeah,
straight to shootouts
yeah.
for the extra point. We'll see how it goes. We were able to go through, of course, playing for Club America in the quarterfinals, or if I'm not mistaken, just losing in penalties. Like we could see something, but at the end of the day, it's more so on the team to
Who?
to prove it, or just like move things around, adapt, and see what we can do against Liga MX.
Yeah, who? I mean, who are the clubs in our group? It's Tigres, Mazatlán, and is it Pachuca? No, it's not Pachuca, but
Pachuca, it is, yeah.
is and Pachuca have had just a nice little run in the Club World Cup as well. So they're riding high as well. So not too easy, not an easy group really. It's fairly difficult group for our boys in orange, and but like I said, tournament soccer is a lot different than season soccer, and obviously I think with what's been shown as far as this season, when the club goes against the bigger teams, especially on the road. Obviously, none of these matches are on the road, but like we mentioned, the Tigres game might feel like a different atmosphere because it might be 80-20 Tigres fans compared to Dynamo fans, but
Yeah.
it could be
Logistically, they call like the stadiums neutral stadiums, so it's
Yeah.
technically not Houston's home for the duration of the tournament, because they want to make it sound like it's neutral.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's still gonna be a lot of Tigres fans for this game.
No, for sure. I think Shell is hosting another game as far as I think aside from Dynamo games. I want to say it's an America Sporting Kansas City game, if I'm not mistaken.
I can check.
Yeah, I think it's August 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity to kind of take a step back from the season. Hopefully, like I said, we can show out, make a nice little impact. I mean, obviously the last season, the last League Cup, we were able to get to the knockout stages, but unfortunately, we were knocked out by, I think, was it Charlotte FC, if I'm not mistaken, by a mistake goal. If Dynamo win, the Tigres fans living in Houston might start supporting the Dynamo, though. It's always true. I mean, that's always been the hope that that when these Mexican clubs come in, and obviously they're playing against Dynamo will show up, and the Mexican fans of that team might leave the stadium a little bit like, oh wow, this team is really something to follow. I might want to follow them since this is my local team, but unfortunately, we haven't really been able to garner that interest, man, because it's just like I said, there's no marketable player. There's no face of the franchise. There's no. I mean, especially right now, how the Dynamo are playing. I mean, it's not attractive at all. And the winning's just not there. So it's just crazy. People. There's MLS fans. I'm telling you. I mean, look, people follow. Look, for as much as people want to hate on Miami and talk about Inter Miami doing these things underneath the table, whatever. But look, the ambition that they've had, brought them Messi, brought them Busquets, Alba, Suarez, De Paul. I mean, these guys. That club went from being a mediocre MLS club to a global club overnight, because they had the ambition and foresight. They had the ambition and foresight to make it happen. I mean, we can laugh all we want and say whatever this is and that, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, Inter Miami, in the 5 years that they've been of existence, are a bigger club than the Dynamo, and the Dynamo have been around for 20 plus years. So I mean, it's a sad truth, but it is what it is. LAFC, another club that we can talk about, who had ambition and brought in big names. LA Galaxy, obviously we know LA Galaxy being a big brother of sorts to us ever since they've been in the league. But I mean, like I said, it's ambition. Seattle Sounders, another club. I mean, but just I don't know, man. It's it has to do with a lot with bringing in these other fans and showing them that this club is is capable of being a good club to support. That, I mean, think about it, Andres. Who do you support in the Premier League?
I don't really have a favorite team in the Premier League.
Or
Although
who's your favorite team globally?
Real Madrid.
I mean, look, Real Madrid, perfect example. Real Madrid. I mean, at the end of the day, they're Real Madrid because the best players want to play there. They're always going to go out after the best players, and they're always going to, they're always going to look great as far as the white kids and all that good stuff. They have the marketing, they have the faces of the franchise, they have the players, they have the style, they have the aura of Madrid. And that's that. The same thing with any Barcelona fans or even Man United. Man United is going through a terrible spell right now, but it's Manchester United. I mean, you think of Sir Alex Ferguson, you think of Giggs, you think of Beckham, you think of Cristiano, you think of Wayne Rooney, you think of all these legends, the aura of Old Trafford and all this stuff. I mean, it's something that's marketable, that fans know about, the history and all that good stuff. Obviously, yes, I know we have the history of lifting 2 MLS Cups and lifting 2 US Open Cups, but that there is no history here. The MLS has only been around for 25, 30 years. So, this is the time where we're supposed to be building up that history and really trying to grab this league by the horns and being top echelon. But I feel like we're not. We've been fighting middle to the bottom for like the last 10 years. So, with that being said, I can keep rambling about that, a lot, but time is of the essence. With that being said, Andres, I guess let me get your prediction for the Tigres game.
4-2 Tigres. I want Houston to win, but we'll see. We still have to see how seriously they're gonna they're gonna be taking care of this tournament. But
it has to. I would assume it'd be serious. There's three Champions League Cup qualification spots available. Plus, I think what's the earnings, like $2 million at the end or something like that for the winner?
I'm not sure, but it's probably something big because of sponsors. But
yeah,
it's probably significant. But yeah, there's definitely rewards if you take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But we're having issues right now, and I like to see this team definitely put some effort into this tournament. But first game against Tigres is going to be saying a lot.
You said 6-1.
4-2.
Oh, 4-2. I was like, wow.
I'm a Dynamo fan still. I'm not gonna say that score ever, but it's tough to see this team play perform against Tigres. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think I'm more in the lines of a 3-1 score, which I think is more in lines with that. Obviously, in Tigres winning that game. Like I said, I would be remiss to say that I would be happy to see them win, obviously against Tigres, and obviously have a good showing in the Leagues Cup. But if what they've been showing me is what I'm looking forward to, then it's not gonna happen, guys. And the Leagues Cup might be a 1-2-3. One strike, 2 strike, 3 strikes, you're out, and we're gonna have a nice little 2-3 week vacation while this thing goes on, and we'll see what happens after that, and I guess prepare ourselves for the rest of the season. But hopefully we can make a good show and have some pride, and maybe make it to the next round of knockout stages. But we'll see what happens.
Unfortunately, unlike last year's, there's no Leagues Cup break, so we are technically still going to the next MLS game against Austin FC on August 8th, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's no breaks. We literally go back into MLS if we get knocked out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we play the first 3 games, and then if we make it to the next round, we still play MLS.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that those League Cup games will be like midweek games somewhere.
Yep, and it's not ideal. I hate it, but it's just how MLS likes to congest the schedule.
Yep. But all right, guys. Well, with that being said, guys, obviously we come to the end of the show. We've been out here for a minute. Obviously, not a lot of good stuff. Not a lot of good positive stuff to talk about. But shout out to the Dynamo, those guys. For representing for the Dynamo and Austin during MLS All-Star festivities and a lot of good stuff. But with that being said, Andres, let the guys know where they can find us.
Yeah. And just before I do that, there's a couple things I wanted to circle back to. Club America does play Minnesota United at Challenger Stadium, and that's going to be on August 2nd on a Saturday. And there's also a couple of news that happened this week that we kind of have to go through. The first one being the signing of free agent Tomáš Wiesner for those. This one was kind of a controversial signing initially because he wasn't officially announced up until today, but earlier this week there were pictures of him signing the contract with Ben Olsen and Ben Olsen right around his birthday, which was earlier this week too. And
happy birthday!
Happy birthday! I only say controversial because he's recovering from a knee injury, so he won't be available to play up until next year, 2026. But it's a player to watch for next year. He's going to be playing for those, not the first team, which you could definitely give opportunities to those, just to show out to see how he plays. Apparently, he's being more of a right back, but he's going to play. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Andres. He's a Czech international, right?
Yes. Apparently, his buddy's with Linger. So.
Oh, okay.
It could work out.
It could work out. Maybe they're just stashing him away at Dos because they know obviously that he's not going to be available for the rest of the season, so there's no reason to give him a spot in the first team. So obviously, I think a player of that caliber more than likely will be a first team player. But the fact that he's not available for us, you plan him in Dynamo Dos, and he doesn't take away a international spot or a roster spot, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, with those, it's not going to take out a spot with the first team. It's a player to look forward to, depending on how he recovers. And apparently, he's going to be, according to Asher, he's also going to be finishing his rehab in Houston for his knee injury. So, best of luck to him for his recovery, and I hope to see him play with those very soon.
And you said that he's a right back?
Yeah, he plays on the right. I believe he played mostly on the right wing, but apparently he's been tracking back. So he could also play in between right back and right midfielder, or just a little bit forward. So I'm gonna be keeping an eye on that once he gets back on the field. So I look forward to that. And the second bit of news, so this one, it's a little bit, you could say, in the works for a long time because Christian Cappis, he is an FC Dallas Academy player that left the U.S. to play abroad, but apparently has not been able to sign a homegrown deal in MLS because Houston had his right of first refusal. So he was the only team he was able to play in MLS was going to be Houston because of territorial restrictions around the homegrown rights. So basically, the county that Christian Cappis was from, I think he's from Katy, but because he was playing for the FC Dallas Academy, he wasn't able to sign a homegrown deal with them because he came from one of the territories that was covered by Houston.
Yeah,
and so it was announced today that Houston did get about $200,000 in general allocation money for his MLS rights.
Okay.
So FC Dallas was able to sign him to another deal, and we do get $100,000 in GAM for this year and $100,000 in GAM for the next year. So apparently, according to Asher, he also said that they've been maintaining communications with Christian for the last 2 years to see if he could be brought over to Houston. Apparently, nothing came out of that, but it was good to know that the team was trying to sign him. So interesting to think about.
Obviously, those GAM and TAM deals are kind of, you kind of forget about those because they just, those Garber bucks, but obviously at the end of the day, we know how much the Dynamo really value those type of deals and take advantage of the GAM and TAM that's available to them as far as making signings or buying down contracts, I suppose. Obviously that type of money can be used to buy down a player's contract like a Linger and bring them down from being a DP status into being a maybe high-end TAM player. So, I mean, obviously, obviously it's wishful thinking, but we'll see what the kind of deal does in the future as far as the finances and what they're able to do as far as bringing in players and player movements as far as, salary goes.
Yep. And those were the news, and I think that should be it for the episode. And just to circle back to wherever you can find us for our continued coverage. Of course, as always, at Dynamic Foxtrot is going to be your handle for Twitter, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. We also have a separate handle on Twitter called Noodle Tiempo.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep you guys covered as much as possible across Dynamo, Dash, those, whatever soccer is going on in Houston. And if you haven't checked out Noodle Tiempo yet, we do have clips from All-Star Week in between Daniel Barrett and Pedro Cruz, so check it out. OSG was able to go out there and provide coverage for those festivities. And if whatever you're watching or listening to this right now, first of all, thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Jojo, Sir Scarf, everyone that's been watching live. We do appreciate your support, as always. The best way to watch us live is, of course, YouTube. We usually record on Thursday nights around 8 p.m. So we always look forward to the comments from everyone that's tuning in. Obviously, it's, again, just for the conversation that we have, and, of course, the comment section to everyone that's tuning in. So thank you guys for that, and also for dropping likes. Make sure you're staying subscribed, and wherever you are listening right now, whatever you listen to your podcast, you can search for Noodle Time. We're gonna be there, and if you want us to be added to a platform, let me know. I'll see if I can get us added. SoundCloud is not going to work, unfortunately, so to the person that asked me for SoundCloud, I'm sorry, but there's other platforms. Go to Spotify or something. So
yeah,
but sorry. But yeah, last but not least, of course, and of course, Goals TV. If you haven't checked it out, it's a platform for soccer content creators like we are. That's goals.tv, spelled with C /@Dynamic Foxtrot for a profile. Check it out if you haven't already. Last but not least, our newsletter. We do have Fox in the Box coming out on a weekly basis, as well as Dash Dispatch, the written version of our podcast segment for Dash. So check it out if you haven't already. I do have all the links available in the profile for our channel and social media. So check it out if you haven't already. But as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode and for your continued support.
For sure. Thank you, Andres. And just to piggyback off of what Andres says, guys, like I said, we appreciate the continued support. The guys in the chat today, we appreciate it. We appreciate you being active. It gives us a lot to talk about, to go back and forth with you guys, and obviously to see what your opinions are about the club that we all support. It's always good to have that the bit of back and forth, because obviously we have our own opinions about certain things, and we like to hear your opinions about certain things as well. And it just keeps us and engaged as far as what's going on with the club, and we like to see where your mindset is at. So obviously, guys, we love the fact that you check in and watch with us, but get engaged, get on the chat, express your opinions about what's going on. Let us know what you would do, or your predictions as far as the game that's coming up, all that good stuff. Guys, like I said, and I know on the screen you see me and Andres, but you guys are part of this show as much as we are, and we want to make sure that you're included and you understand that you are a part of the show, and that we want to make sure that that we appreciate the what you bring to the show. So with that being said, guys, obviously regardless of what's going on with the Dynamo, regardless of their up and down, we're always going to be holding it down for H-Town, guys. So until next Thursday, hopefully we come back with some great news with LA Galaxy and A-League Cup contra Tigres. But with that being said, guys, H is up for H-Town.
Stay real, yo.